It's 5:30. I call this meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety to order. If you please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, we have Dick Bradshaw and Shannon's here. Phil Traeger is absent. Move first to reading of minutes and approval. We have minutes from January 17th, 2019. Any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments to be made to this set of minutes?
I wasn't here for the one, but the other, which is the
Well, the 20,
17th or the 21st.
okay. You weren't here for the 17th? No, you weren't.
Right, I was not here for 17th, but I move that we approve the 21st.
I'll second that. We motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Go ahead and wait for January 17th until next meeting.
Okay.
We have claims in the amount of $127,680.95. Any, well, Clerk Treasurer Aldrich isn't here today, but do you have any questions regarding the claims?
I do not. I move that we accept the claims of $127,680.95.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move next to department head reports. I know somebody was downstairs for Chief Superintendent Lyons. You want to start us out?
Sure. Basically, we finished up some fleet maintenance, took down some Christmas decorations. Picked up some more yard waste. Plowed snow. Plowed more snow. And finally, we finished up plowing more snow. So, and then we also did, we took the merry-go-round from Riley Park and removed it, took it to the shop and got it sanded down, stripped, primed, and then we'll put some paint on it and stick some new bearings in it and get it installed in the spring also. So,
That's really used a lot.
yes, they are.
It really heavily used.
So that's some maintenance going on that. So, any questions for me?
All right. Thank you, Superintendent. Superintendent Myers?
I don't have much more to add from my written report. We had a few more frozen meters since I made that report, and a couple more water leaks over the weekend. So, I got kind of busy when it got cold.
You don't see a lot of leaks till it warms up, is that right?
Yeah, the weather didn't have nothing to do with these leaks that we had over the weekend. But springtime, when it starts thawing, we'll see some. All right.
Any questions for the superintendent? All right. Thank you, sir. Superintendent Mansickle?
I had less than that. You have a copy of my report?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just snowy and icy and had some freeze ups. A couple of the maintenance items, just had to work on the tractor loader, steering repair. Hour meters installed out of Cottage Street, control panel.
That all done?
I'm gonna have somebody come and put a cover on the control panel on the top of it because the on-off switches are exposed. So, besides that, yeah, it's done.
Good.
I know.
Any other questions for Superintendent Mansickle? All right. Thank you, sir. Chief Mullen?
Thank you, Mayor. My apologies about not getting my report in the packet, so now, we have my report for you. And the totals from last year, we had 138 arrests, calls for service 1,366, 142 citations, 380 case reports, 44 written warnings, and 84 crash reports, 141 parking tickets, and 21 handgun licenses were issued. Total miles driven was 63,915. And then from this year, from January, you can see the statistics there, attached news releases, and getting a handle on the new RMS system is producing some statistics and information for us, and as time goes on, I'm sure we'll be better at this and be able to provide you with better information, but it's working out a little bit.
Crime Star not keep track of vehicle stops? I
Did
noticed you
not.
have that in.
Not in the way that we would have been able to do there, so, yeah, it's kind of different.
Is it normal for calls of service to be, we've got 246 in January, and what we had for last year was 1,300.
I think what we're gonna see is an increased number of calls for service because the accuracy of the calls for service that are given to the correct agency is increased with the new system. There's less of a chance for dispatch to assign a call for service to another agency by error, as we had with the old system. So in that sense, I think we'll see a bigger number, more accurate number is what we'll probably begin to see.
How does that work exactly?
Well,
What's a call for?
Call for services, call comes into the sheriff's department, or an officer calls into the sheriff's department, lets them know that they're on a call. Like somebody came here to the city building and gave something that happened, a theft report or something like that. We would call in, let them know what happened, and ask for a case number, or just letting them know what we're doing for following up on it. And that would be a call for service. Phone call comes into the sheriff's department, and an officer's delegated to that call, that's a call for service. So, two ways that it comes in like that. And the call for service typically is assigned to the correct department, but as it happens sometimes, they may click the wrong button, because there was a series of buttons for the departments, and they click the wrong one, so it goes to the wrong agency. And that was lost that way.
Well, so if somebody calls in and says, there's a dog trying to get into my house, and the dispatcher decides where that is, or what
Yes.
department that goes to,
Yes,
and then they,
by the address,
by the address.
by the address.
Is that the 911 address, or I mean, is?
It is, yeah. The 911 address system has been in effect for quite a while now. So they would give their address, dispatcher would put it in, and I think what it does, it comes up automatically as being in a particular area, helps them out, shows where they're at on the map. So it puts it in the correct jurisdiction, so the call for service is assigned to the correct department.
So that goes to whoever's in the car?
Whoever is in the car and has their screen on, or they dispatch them by radio.
And what information do they give them? I mean, do they give as much as they can, or how does that
Yes,
work?
absolutely, as much information as they possibly can, given the circumstances. The dispatcher will ask as many questions as they possibly can think of to that situation that the officer is being sent to. And then the officer may respond back to dispatch and have them ask more questions, depending on what the circumstance might be, whether it be a bank alarm or, you know, a dog running loose. Depends on what information I need.
When the alarm goes off at the canal, is that a call for service when
Yes.
they go out there and?
Yes,
Okay.
that would be a call for service. Well, so, yep, very good questions.
How does this compare to last year? I mean, 2018, how's it compared to, say, 2017, you think?
Thank you for asking. Let's see.
Is there crime statistics? I mean, do we generate crime statistics?
Well, according to last year's statistics, we had 138 arrests this last year in 2018. In 2017, we had 148. We had 1,300 calls for service as opposed to, in 2017, as opposed to 1,366. This year, we had 142 citations as opposed to 111. Case reports, we had.
What's that mean?
Case reports would be like a investigative report that an officer would write up, whether they go to a situation and they feel one it just needs a report written up for records, or it involves arrest, or there's some other action that they need to take, or they need to let the prosecutor's office know what's going on, juvenile authority, whatever, they would write a report, and that's what a case report is.
So if anybody calls 911, there's a record someplace of that, what
Yes.
it is, what they did, who did it, so on and so forth.
Certainly if they call 911, even if they call in on the administration line, and an officer is delegated to that detail, then there'll be a record of it, certainly.
Does the dispatchers answer the administrative calls? Or?
Yes, they'll answer administrative line. Administrative line would be like our number here for the Delphi Police Department, 564-2345. that is basically administrative line. So they call in on that number, they answer Delphi Police Department. 2413 would be the Sheriff's Department. They call on that number, they answer Sheriff's Department, and then they're given an opportunity to talk to the jail or dispatch. So, whatever.
So we don't have a crime wave going on apparently.
I'm okay
from
with
year
that.
to year.
Yeah, I think that's marvelous.
Well, then a lot of that depend on what interpretation is made by either the dispatcher, the officer, or.
Sure. Everything is subject to some general interpretation, but, you know, when you make an arrest, you have to make a report of. Or there's a circumstance where there's been a crime committed, you make a report up and send it to the prosecutor's office. Sometimes when we get down to interpretation, I have a few officers who are really very good about making reports up in certain circumstances, which I really appreciate. They determine that they make a record of situations in case something happens in the future. So we'll have a record to go on and to build from if something else happens for that same person. So it is something that we have a limited degree of interpretation about.
Does the 911 dispatcher have to decide if it's justifiable to send an officer, or, I mean, if somebody says, my house is cold, or, I'm sure they get lots of crazy calls, but is that something the dispatcher decides and then ignores it, or is everything recorded?
Everything is recorded, and I think that's one thing that's important to note, is that the calls come in at the Sheriff's Department, they're all on an audio recorder. So they have to make a decision based upon how that quality control may go sometime in the future. So if somebody decides that that was something they should have detailed an officer to, then they could be under scrutiny for that.
You're in a tough position probably to have to make those calls sometimes.
It is. I worked as a dispatcher before, and many years ago when things were a lot different, and it's still, even now, obviously now more so than ever, it's a difficult position to be in. They're underpaid, and they are under a great deal of stress.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions about my report or Land's report? Go ahead and move on to awarding of contracts. So last meeting, we opened up quotes for both microsurfacing and overlays. We received one quote for microsurfacing from Pavement Solutions in the amount of $149,660.46. This is to do a number of streets around the city of Delphi with a single course of microsurface. They provided all the information that's required of them. I would ask that a motion be made to award the contract to Pavement Solutions for $149,660.46.
I move we accept the Pavement Solutions contract for $149,000, like you said.
All right, I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It's February 4th. Move next to overlays. We received 3 quotes for overlays last month. Milestone coming in the lowest.
Was an evaluation made of those, or so we can,
I looked them over to,
they're comparable?
yeah, they all look pretty comparable.
I move that we accept the low bid Milestone Contractors.
So we have a quote of $103,400 from Milestone. That's for overlays, some milling, I believe, some wedge and level on 8 streets in the city of Delphi. We have a motion, I will second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now that includes the park,
No, we will get that.
that's a separate one,
All right, next item I have is the Riley Park Trail. The cost for Milestone on that,
okay.
so this would be to remove 125 foot of the walking trail, excavate, prepare the subgrade, install stone base, pave, and do some wedge and level. So this is in the amount of 30,000.
We don't need competitive bids, what, under 50,000, or is that?
Correct. So we have to do quotes if we expect it to be between 50 and 150,000. We have to do bids if it's over 150,000. If it's under 50, I think it's at our discretion. Although it's 30,000, I kind of expect the total cost of all the milestone projects to come down because they're only going to have to mobilize once to do all the asphalt work.
So you expect them to do it all at the same time, basically?
That would be my guess, since it's all asphalt work that they're doing.
I move that we accept the $30,000 bid from Milestone for the trail.
Oh, second, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract milestone for $30,000 for the Riley Park Trail. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the last item we have is for 2 sections of asphalt in Riley Park. This is the entrance up by 421 as well as the Boy Scout Loop out in the back. This would be for the Boy Scout Loop, full depth patching with asphalt base. It's like a wedge and level course and surface over by the loop, and then it looks like just an overlay at the entrance drive.
Is that, what's that, is that 27?
27,100.
I move that we accept Milestone's bid of 27,100.
A motion, I will second to approve the contract with Milestone for $27,100 for Riley Park various asphalt work. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Aaron, I'll make copies and get those to you. That's all I've got for today. We were not awarded the elevator grant. I'm going to talk about that more with the council at the next meeting and have a discussion about meeting location, whether we want to continue having it up here, move it to the community center, move it downstairs, what we want to do. So hopefully
That's
we'll get
twice
discussion.
we've been turned down?
And not go into further detail, we do have all the council here, but it doesn't look like, even if we applied again, that we would get it. We had 366 points out of 700 possible. We need at least 450 to be awarded the grant. And we had a phone call with Okra, and we had a representative here today. And I don't think we'll get those 86 points to even get us to the threshold where we can be awarded it.
Are there some specific things that they marked us down for? I mean, is it need or? That's okay, you can do
Oh, I
it.
brought it up here.
Do it at the.
But yeah, they marked us down for. It was a frustrating phone call because we had Eric Ogle, who's the director of the CDBG grants for Okra, and he facilitates the scoring committee. It was frustrating because they say we got marked off 2 points up here because we didn't have enough residential participation, and then down here we got marked off because we had we didn't have enough government participation, but we had a lot of residential participation. So it seemed to conflict in the way that they scored us. It was a little frustrating, but to get the 84 more points that we would need to be awarded the grant doesn't seem very likely. We have to demonstrate possible health effects, reasons. It's just frustrating.
So maybe it's time to look in another direction.
That may seem to be the case. Do you have any comments? Clerk Treasurer's not here.
I have none.
All right. Public comments? Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple. I'm wondering, in the claims, I was noticing that the city building paid for something for the water department and also something for the wastewater department. Several things for wastewater. And I'm wondering why that would be.
Under 279 is the fund number.
Yeah, I don't know. It says Department 002.
Oh, that's, what page are you on?
I don't know, Shane.
It should say it in the top right.
Okay, let me take this off. 7 of the register. for the water department, and then for the wastewater department, it's paid, it starts on it is on page 10. Wastewater was 2,444.75. Water was 1,245.36. And the city building, that is property tax money, isn't it? It's funded,
Sorry, I'm gonna have to catch up. You're on page 7,
yeah,
and you said that community center funds are going to the water and wastewater department?
no, city
Okay.
building.
City,
The bill was paid out of the city building department. The water for water pumping equipment, fluoride pump well number 4, to Living Waters Company, Inc.
so that's, even though that department says city building, the
Yeah.
appropriation number,
Yeah,
601-002311, it's between Living Waters and water pumping equipment. You see that?
601-0023, yeah, I see that one.
So that means it's coming out of the water operating fund. I believe that city building title for Department 2 is a misnomer. That's what it's called within the general fund.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I'm referring to.
But, no, it's coming out of the 601, which is the water operating.
And so then the same would be true for,
You said you're on page 10?
yes,
Yeah,
it's
that's, the-
606-0023.
yeah, the 606 would be sewer operating.
Okay, okay.
So I believe 272, the first 3 numbers, 272 should be the community center. It does look like we have some expenses out of that.
I wasn't
for-
talking about the community center.
Oh, city building? Sorry.
I never said community center, did I? Maybe I did, but I didn't mean to.
So no, those are coming out of the water operational and sewer operational, the ones
Okay.
that you cited.
But why does it say city building?
Because if you go to, on page 7, it's like 601-002, and then 311. That 002, at least in the general fund, is our code for the city building department. That's where like Maryland's wages come out of, some
Yeah.
janitorial. But
Yeah.
this is, that 601 says it's water operational.
No? Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, um, so, on page 2, where it says city building,
That one's actually the city building department. Because it should come out of that
you
101.
understand my confusion, right?
Yeah, and I'll have to check with Leanne and see if, I don't
Maybe it's a
know,
misprint or something?
it wouldn't be a misprint, it could be because we switched over to a new year. So we probably have to enter some stuff into the system again.
Yeah?
I can't remember if in the past, like under the water department, if that 002 was city building, or if that had a different code that it was referring to. But we can check on that when Leanne gets back. But it's coming out of the right fund, it's just perhaps titled incorrectly for the department number.
002. On the city building, it says 002111 for the first one.
Right, so 002 is
Is
the
that okay
department,
with you?
111 is the line item within that department.
Yeah. 002311 is not a line item within that department. It's in water operating.
Well, that's 601. So, like,
Okay, I get it.
so like the street department and police department could have line items each with that 111, but they have different department codes.
Okay.
So they would have like 10100, I think Aaron's 8, I think
Well,
Steve's.
1008, I got 20100.
My.
It looks like it's coming out of the right place. But we can check to see the titles.
I just had never noticed anything like that before.
Any other public comment? All right. one last motion to be
I
made.
move to adjourn.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It is 5:55.
Original one maybe one for everything, but had a 6 ahead of it, so
Lord's sakes.
which building is it? Which location is it?
Yeah.